What an exciting day already. I don't know about you guys, but I am on cloud nine right now. Having met, two amazing doctors that we just
What an
spoke
exciting
to
day
already. I don't know about you. Two exciting doctors, pardon me, that we just met on the forum a few minutes ago. Dr. Raphael and his CEO, our very humble Dr. Debbie Olusa. So I'm welcoming them again to the forum and also excitedly looking forward to what we're going to learn tonight on Medical Mondays. The topic tonight is blew me off the water. I can't wait to know what Dr. Ajagbe is going to tell us tonight. But before we go on, I want to introduce myself. I am Dr. Toyin Okpesomi. I was actually told I should remind you all that I'm also a commissioner. I keep forgetting that. I'm a multicultural commissioner for Prince George's County, a family practitioner, HIV specialist, and I treat addictions in Maryland. I also enjoy just learning and imparting knowledge at the same time. I love health fairs, medical missions, things that just would help us, that would strengthen us, make us strong for a better future. Those things are things that I enjoy. And Medical Mondays with Dr. O is one of those platforms where we, as a family of Medical Mondays with Dr. O, have been able to achieve that every week. Tonight, we have our very own Dr. Oluwole Ajagbe, who will be presenting this microbiomes. Dr. Ajagbe, the floor is yours. Please complete your introduction and take the floor. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Today, as we always try to do, we want to engage on topics that will be of great benefit to all of us. As Dr. O mentioned my name is Oluwole Ajagbe. Actually, the full name is Oluwole Ajagbe. I'm a dentist. I've been a dentist for a long time, like 43 years. And I've been in academia, private practice, and research. And like Dr. O said, I've also participated in a lot of medical outreaches to Nigeria, to Guatemala, to Haiti, and to the Kentucky Mountains here in the US. I also do some, local health fairs in different counties in the DMV corridor. Tonight, I just want us to explore this fascinating world of oral microbiome and its implication in our health. I'm sure that word microbiome sounds like, whoa, what is that? It's a big word that means simple an ecology of the microorganisms in our mouth. We will discuss on, how an imbalance in the oral microbiome can lead to oral diseases and even affect our overall systemic health. Lastly, we will delve into the potential roles, of oral probiotics in restoring balance and promoting oral health. So, let's try to understand what oral microbiome really is. The oral microbiome refers to the diverse community of microorganisms that are living in our mouth. It consists of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other microbes, just like protozoa, and collectively forming a complex ecosystem. Now, most of the time we don't pay attention to this, but just opening your mouth alone to the atmosphere, there is a lot of things going on. But anyway, we'll try to explore it a little bit tonight. Since I'm not teaching you to become, a specialist in this area, it's just to inform you to become aware of what is going on in the mouth. We're going to be talking just primarily on oral microbiome as they play a crucial role in maintaining oral health by aiding digestion and protecting against harmful pathogens. For those who may not be aware of what pathogens means, they just means disease-causing agents. So now let's look at what do we mean by oral microbiome imbalance and oral diseases. When the oral microbiome becomes imbalanced, it means harmful bacteria become more dominant, leading to oral diseases. What are the common oral diseases that we all know? I'm sure you all know, at least if you haven't had a toothache before, you've seen somebody that has toothache or have complained about toothache, and maybe you've seen somebody with, bleeding in their mouth, gum disease, and stuff like that. So the common oral diseases that are associated with the microbiome imbalance include tooth decay, which we also refer to in layman's term, cavities, gum disease that we describe as periodontitis, and oral thrush, which is basically yeast infection of the mouth. So imbalances can be caused by poor oral hygiene. I know many people on this forum would not be guilty of having poor oral hygiene because everybody knows a little bit about chewing stick or using a combination of chewing stick and toothbrushes, which help to maintain oral hygiene. Another possible cause for imbalance is unhealthy diet. Stress, smoking, and certain medications can also shift the balance of the oral microbiome. So, what are some of the unhealthy foods, if we can just go over that briefly? Some of the unhealthy foods that could potentially disrupt the balance of the oral microbiome include sugary foods, and drinks, which includes excessive consumption of sugar, whether you are adding it to your food or you are doing, processed foods that contain a lot of sugar. I know some people can't do without, Starbucks or Dunkin' coffee in the morning and all day long and all this kind of drinks. Most of those drinks, unless you specify, I believe they do sweeten them with high fructose corn syrup. So all of these things are very dangerous for the microbiome in the mouth. Acidic foods and beverages can also cause a shift in the balance of the microbiome, and more so because of the acidity, the enamel of the teeth can also become destroyed from the acid content of the drinks and food. Sticky and chewy foods, this can get stuck between teeth. Even some can get stuck on the surfaces of the smooth surfaces of the teeth. And sticky sweet food or sticky sweet, you know, whatever it is, whether it is drink or chewy food, can leave smears on the smooth surfaces of the teeth as well as in between the teeth, and this acts as landing, pad for the microbiome to be shifted in the direction of the negativity, where the gums and the cavities can be formed. Some highly processed foods, also may contain additives that can negatively affect the oral microbiome. Food that are high in refined carbohydrates, which may include things like cakes, uh, donuts, even bagels, because most of the bagels are sweetened, even though they're not very, very sweet, but they're sweetened with high fructose corn syrup, which is also very bad for not only the oral cavity, but it's also very bad for our system if we continue to indulge in that. Excessive alcohol consumption can lead to dry mouth and imbalance in the oral microbial environment. Food that is very high in saturated fat uh, may contribute to inflammation of the gums and causing gum disease. So let us remember that maintaining a balanced diet and practicing good oral hygiene are key to promoting a healthy oral microbiome. Now, how is this imbalance in the oral microbiome linked to, uh, you know, oral health? So, if you think about it, um, if anybody is healthy, if we are healthy and our mouth is healthy, we keep the good oral hygiene, we eat very good food, uh, we know that there'll be no problem. We don't have any problem in the mouth, we don't have any problem systemically. But if there is a shift, definitely our systemic our body systems can also be, affected in a very negative way. So there are so many emerging research projects suggesting a bidirectional relationship between oral health and systemic health. We all know now, it's no longer something hidden, that poor oral health has been linked to an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, respiratory infection, and even adverse pregnancy outcomes. So the presence of oral pathogens and chronic inflammation in the mouth can contribute to all these systemic problems. So now let's talk quickly about the role of oral probiotics. What do we mean by oral probiotics? Because so many people, I'm sure, we've talked about probiotics on this forum many times. But when we talk about probiotics, we've always been talking in relation to colon cleansing, how we can increase the consumption of probiotics in combination with prebiotics to keep our GI tract or guts healthy, and we can remain healthy that way. But in the case of oral probiotics, these are, uh, you know, um, microorganisms that have been found to be very healthy, that they contribute to actually controlling the bad bacteria that take over most mouths when there is a shift in the oral microbiome. So oral probiotics are beneficial bacteria, that can be introduced into the oral cavity in different forms. And we will talk about a few of those different forms. They help to restore the microbial balance by inhibiting the growth. That is, they prevent the overgrowth of the harmful bacteria and thereby enhancing growth of the beneficial ones. Um, Now, I'm sure if you are familiar with literature in this area, you will know that some manufacturers are beginning to commercialize oral probiotics, not just the probiotics for colon cleansing that is available now commercially. So let's talk about three examples of the commercially available oral probiotics. One of them is Streptococcus salivarius, which is the K12 variant, which has been shown to reduce the risk of strep throat and also promotes fresh breath. Now, for those who do have a lot of problem in this area of bad breath. Most of the time, it's not because you have gum disease or it's not because you have cavity in your mouth. It's because you have a shift, in the balance of the oral microbiome. And most of the time, the bacteria that cause the bad breath, they may not even cause cavity, but they destroy. I mean, they ferment all the carbohydrates that we eat, and thereby releasing sulfur containing gases that give out the bad breath that patients complain about. So with the introduction of this Streptococcus salivarius K12, uh, they actually uh, protect the mouth from the overgrowth of the other streptococcal variants that cause the bad breath. So rather than sucking on meat all day long or brushing 5 times in one day to do this, by introducing this streptococcus can control bad breath. Another option, another probiotic that's been introduced commercially that people can actually find to buy is called Lactobacillus reuteri, which can help combat harmful bacteria and reduce plaque formation and support gum health. So for most people that have uncontrollable gum disease, this particular lactobacillus, which is another bacteria, by the way, that's why they are called probiotic. They are healthy. They enhance, the healthy state in the mouth and actually control the propagation or the growth of the harmful bacteria. And so this one is very good to control gum disease. Now, the last one we're going to be talking about that's available commercially is a variant of Lactobacillus paracasei, which is often referred to as B-lactis BL4. This is a very strong strain of lactobacillus that actually help. It's been found in several studies to be potentially positive, to have positive effects on various aspects of human health, not just in the mouth. Some researchers have suggested that it may support immune function, promote digestive health, and help maintain a balanced gut microbiota. So, as an oral probiotic, B-lactis, which is the BL4, has been investigated for its ability, to modulate the immune response in the respiratory tract. I want us to pay attention to this. If you introduce this into the mouth, it's not just going to work in the mouth. It's going to work not on. It will be working and has very positive effects on the respiratory tract, and also reduce, by reducing the respiratory infection. It also has a promise in managing symptoms of allergic rhinitis and asthma. So this probiotic is very, very important, particularly this B-lactis BL4, which is not just effective in the oral cavity, but is effective systemically. And for most people who are mouth breathers, who have always had big problems in the mouth as well as respiratory tract and their GI tract, and I think this will be a game changer for many of these people. So probiotics can be found in various forms, including lozenges. Some manufacturers are trying to make it in the mouthwash form. Some are putting it in toothpaste, and some are targeting, they're targeting other means of preparation to make it easy for for the masses or the public to be able to use this effectively on a daily basis. So I don't know if I've made any sense to you guys, but in conclusion, let me just say, in summary, maintaining a balanced oral microbiome is crucial for oral and systemic health. So by understanding the impact of microbiome imbalance on oral disease and systemic problems, we can take proactive steps to promote oral health. Incorporating commercially available oral probiotics such as Streptococcus, Salivarius K12, and Lactobacillus reuteri, as well as the BL4, B-lactis BL4 in our regimen will not just improve the oral health by restoring the balance of the microbiome, as well as supporting the systemic health. Thank you for your attention. I hope I'll be able to answer your questions if you have any questions.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Ajagbe. We appreciate you as usual. That is deep. So why is oral health so important? Dr. Ajagbe kept saying oral health and systemic health. I just want to put up there that systemic health is referring to our body. Oral health affects the heart, the kidneys, and all other organs in the body, and that's what he's alluding to. So making sure that we have a balance in our mouth, making sure that your dental health is on point is very important to overall health. And this is something that most people did not know, but thank God we've been educated over and over on that. So, Doctor, there's a lot here that Dr. Bill has written, and instead of going over them, Dr. Bill, I'm going to ask you to unmute, please, sir, before I read the questions on there, and just summarize them all for us.
Dr. Ajagbe,
welcome.
you have been extraordinarily important to me in the information you have always brought forward, and I thank you for that. I thank you for I thank you for staying up and current. There's so much you have mentioned here. I will start with going backwards from the last thing I sent to you. In terms of the probiotics, now we know that the marketplace has saturated us with all the probiotics and do this and take this one and take that one. How important is the fact that the probiotic must either be attenuated and or maintained in terms of a chilled state? Freeze-dried probiotics, as far as I'm concerned, are of no value at this point in time. It is really critical that we, as you've just said, maintain a balance in our body, because, example, halitosis is diagnostic, especially, example, ketone breath. We know what that is at this point. So that's the first question. Second question, actually statement, some time ago, you advised us all in terms of the use of baking soda. Fabulous suggestion, and I appreciate you for doing that, because truthfully, it served me well in terms of doing and my issues, my dental issues at this time. The need to find someone possibly like yourself or Dr. O or any other physician on this panel to help individuals who are becoming inflamed because of the foods that they've been eating, which will then impact, as Dr. O just said, we're talking about systemic issues, which are absolutely extraordinary. And we know that many of our issues start from minor inflammation, which just tend to go even further and further and further. Any of that you want to explain and speak to? Just the last note, sugar, we got to stay away from sugar somehow, some way. That high fructose corn syrup is so deadly to us. It suppresses the body's ability to, it impacts chromium level, which is a critical mineral in terms of controlling body's ability to control sugar. Really, it's just what you've just mentioned in the last 15 minutes, and we could talk about all day at this point in time. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. It's nice to see you, looking good. Well, what you've raised are very important. Halitosis is one major problem. And like I said, you could buy all the mints, chew all the gums, do every kind of, temporary, approach to control it, and you still don't get anywhere. Most of the things that have been done will actually, make the mouth drier. And so if the mouth is dry, you increase the shift in the microbiome, and the plaque formation is increased. And so by introducing a potent probiotic like Streptococcus salivarius K12, that will actually knock out most of the bacteria that cause the bad breath. So that's why I was just specifically talking a little bit more on K12, because I know most people have problems with bad breath. Now, talking about baking soda. Baking soda, it's a game changer also, but the manufacturers of the toothpaste, they don't want to let go of their cash cows. If you're already hooked on Colgate, you're already hooked on Pepsodent, you're already hooked on all these different toothpaste, they believe that you should just continue to do it, because see, that is continuous cash flow for the manufacturers, which there's nothing wrong in that. They've done their due diligence, they've done the manufacturing and all of that. But you, as an individual, owe it to yourself to know what is best for your own health. So if you keep buying everything that has triclosan, that has a whole lot of the additive that they put in this, they actually destroy the microbiome. Now, you don't know that, they will never admit that to you, but if you keep having sweetener in your toothpaste, and you keep having anything that will encourage bacterial growth in your mouth, and also sometimes the mouth gets dried, so you end up having the shift in the wrong direction. We want the shift in the right direction, and that is why I'm just talking more about this new area, which is, I can tell you, probiotics has never been mentioned in the mouth in terms of controlling oral health. So I'll probably be one of the first few that will be talking about probiotics in relation to the oral environment. So the other thing is about the sugars. The sugars are always going to be there. To tell you the fact, sugars are added to almost everything, even to French fries. So imagine that they spike French fries, before it's being fried, before, most of the time it's frozen. So they actually add a little bit of, high fructose corn syrup to make it jazzed up. And that causes the addictive process. So when you see many people are so hooked to French fries. The moment they smell French fries and they are driving, it's like there's a hook to their nose, it's pulling them right to wherever the French fries is being made. They will buy French fries, even if that's all they want to buy. And you have to eat it hot. You have to eat it with the salt, fresh salt, crunchy salt on it. All of those are dangerous for your health. But then it is what you want. So most of the time, we are the ones using our money to destroy our own health. And we say, oh, we're having fun. Oh, I don't eat this often. I don't eat it all the time. But once you get hooked, you are hooked. And until you break yourself off of that, it's something that is very dangerous. Now, I'm not saying everybody will be able to cancel sugar in their food, but if you must use sweeteners, there are other alternatives. There are healthy alternatives that do not shift the balance of the microbiome in the mouth. So, and I'm sure if you want that, we can talk about that at some other time. But some examples are honey. Honey, natural, organic honey. I'm not talking about synthetic honey in some parts of the world where they do caramelization of sugar. Because it's brown, they will actually make it look like it's honey. But over a period of time, the sugar will crystallize. And then you can see the sediments at the bottom of the bottle. You know that was not honey, that you paid premium dollars for. So sugar is going to be there. I mean, if you can drink your tea or coffee without sugar, that's good. But for those who cannot do without sweetening their food, I think honey is a very good alternative. Sedvia is another one because actually, everyone I took to the U.S. Botanical Garden, I always introduce them to the plant. This little shrub, it looks like a weed, and you pluck a leaf and put it in your mouth. It's sweet like hell. I mean, it's very sweet. Pardon my expression of sweeting like hell. It's very sweet, and that is what they use for making. Um, I want to. I think it's said. What is this sweetener? I remember the name, but it's made from sedvia, which is a plant-based sauce. Uh, and I think there are other sweeteners that may be very useful. That you can actually substitute for the sugar, the high glycemic. Sugar that have the high glycemic index.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ajagbe. You've mentioned lactobacillus, B-lactose, BL4.
No, B-lactis.
B-lactase, yeah, BL4, and all of those things. So you said they come in lozenges and maybe mouthwash, toothpaste. Where do one get these things? And would they be labeled like that?
Yes. I know if you search online, you will find some. There is one that is actually on Facebook right now. I have no, I cannot vouch for it because it's coming from outside the country. It's called Yayashi, Yayashi SP4. Yayashi SP4 comes like a toothpaste. Marketing is a big thing in these days and age because they make it look like your life depends on this toothpaste. All right, I've never used it. I don't know how well it works, but the best that I can say to you now that if you want to buy a lozenges type of probiotic for the mouth, I will recommend the one that is called Prodentim. Prodentim. It's Prodentim. I think they have some infomercial online. And if you search for Prodentim, you will see it. It's a little pricey, but I can tell you, they claim, I haven't done the research myself, I cannot verify many of these things, but at least they promise that they have 3.5 billion units, in that composition, which means they understood what it means to have the high potency of the microorganism that they are introducing into the mouth. And when you chew it, you swallow it, It also controls the respiratory tract, the microbial population in the nose, in the respiratory tract, as well as in the GI tract. So I think it's a very useful, which based on their research and based on the report that I think should be looked into. I cannot tell you that it's cheap, but I don't have any vested interest in that. So you need to know that I'm not promoting anything for any particular manufacturer. But based on my research, I believe that that could be very useful.
So is it sold online? Somebody is asking?
Yes, it's online.
It's
you
online.
can search for ProDentim. Even as I'm talking, you'll find ProDentim. It's in tablet form, but you suck on it. You don't swallow it. You suck on it and you swish it around your mouth, and so that's the way it's going to control the very dangerous pathogenic microorganisms in the mouth.
Okay, so Dr. Bill did say it's important to educate on high glycemic index, and I agree with him, because diabetes is, oh my gosh, on the rampage. So it means, the high glucose content is important to talk about. And he did say also that honey is wonderful as long as it is raw and uncooked. Actually, it says we want a sweetener with a low glycemic index, one that has a low impact on insulin release, which is true. There is, and I'm blacking out on this, when we were doing the plant-based diet. Anyone who did plant-based diet with us, if they can, say something about, some people were cooking. Sister Tino Akinshola, I know you on, and I think you actually made some sweeteners from a plant product that was very good. So
yes, it's dates.
It's dates. Okay, because I remembered very well that you did that.
Yes.
So go ahead, tell us about that. Dates.
Yes.
You make your own sweetener from that.
Yes. So you all know how I share that. Of course, I'm a sweet tooth girl. So doctor told us about boiling date. In its natural state, we just wash and boil it. And then once it's very soft, you can check for the seed inside of it, if it's still there, or sometimes it may have melted, resolved. So afterward, you then put it in your, blender, and then you blend. So you thicken it to your desire. And then that's how you just take 1 spoon or 2 spoonful. But the only thing is that if you're so used to, I only like sugar in white form, then if you add it to anything that is supposed to be white, like some of us that drink ogi, of course, it changes the complexion of the ogi to light brown. But if you don't care, if you've been used to using brown sugar, then you won't even think about it. So, but it's very sweet and it's healthy.
Thank you so much. And by the way, Ogi Pap, we have Ogi Baba that is already brown, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Yes.
So that's a good option. That's a good option to make your own sweetener, the dates. And the honey is good if it's, in your, if it was made by bees in your own habitat. It actually helps allergies. And Dr. I have another question for you. I'll reserve that because
hold on 1 second. Let me just talk quickly on the date syrup. Yeah. I use date syrup regularly.
Do you make it or do you buy it?
No, I have it sourced in Nigeria. So when I travel to Nigeria, I bring my date syrup. So usually, if you're going to do something like that, it's best to look for someone who can help you prepare it to, to specification. I do have mine in such a way that not only is it sterile, it is also prepared in such a way that I can scoop it with spoon, and I can, if you have a wide mouth bottle, you can use spoon to take enough quantity. But if you don't, if you make it too watery, you might be using too much, because when you are squirting it in your whatever it is that you want to eat, you're likely to get much more than you need into that unless you're using a spoon to measure. So yes, this syrup is constant in my refrigerator. When I go to Nigeria, I always bring back some date syrup.
Thank you so much.
That is true, if I may.
Go
I
ahead.
don't know if you can see what I have.
Go ahead. Yeah, show us.
Okay, so the container I use is bigger than this. When I finish the blending, and then I mix it according to how watery or how thick I want it. And then, of course, you can tell that this is big. The mouth is wide enough, my spoon goes in it. And that's the natural date without anything added.
Yeah.
Sister Tinu, thank you so much.
It will stay with that becoming fermented. If you refrigerate, if you put it outside, it will get fermented very quickly.
It's always in the refrigerator. This is dried stuff. This is hibiscus. So, but the container I use is glassy and it's different from this, but it's pretty much similar, in terms of size.
Thank you so much for that. Medical Monday style, we like to do things ourselves, as you know. So thank you for sharing that recipe. Cook, boil your dates and do it. Not every one of us have the privilege of going to Nigeria and having somebody do our syrup, Dr. Ajagbe. We like that. And if you can bring some for us, you can bring one for every Medical Monday family. That'd be
that's right.
that'd be fantastic. But short of doing that, please try that. It's very easy to make and it's very sweet. I don't use any sugars, so I really don't care even for the sweetness of that date. Even though I'm sweet-toothed, I have other natural ways I get my sweets, but I don't want to delve into them to keep focus on the subject of tonight. So, Dr. Okweyemi, I see your hand, but I want to quickly ask this question before I call on you. What homemade remedies can you recommend for cure for bad breath or bad mouth breath in children?
Well, anybody can use baking soda. Baking soda has no age discrimination. So I think it's best to add baking soda and a little bit of hydrogen peroxide to the brushing regimen of that child. If the bad breath is related to cavities or gum disease, they need to be checked. I think the parent can tell if the gum is swollen and is bleeding, if there's a cavity in the tooth. Those can also cause bad breath. Now, if it's a child that is a mouth breather, yes, a mouth breather will always have bad breath because their mouth is often dry. And because their mouth is dry due to the fact that they breathe through their mouth, will cause their, adenoids and the tonsils to be swollen. And because those are swollen, they will have some infective spots, and, which is always going to be with some pus formation. And the smell of pus is never pleasant. So wherever pus is formed, there will be bad breath. So you need to find out why the child is having bad breath first. That if it's just from ordinary, what the child is eating, that is shifting the oral microbiome in the negative direction. I think a little bit of baking soda and hydrogen peroxide can regulate that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. There's also, Damien said, there's a plant in his country that leaves a sweet taste in the mouth after it is chewed. So, and there's something about monk fruit sweetener with erythritol as well.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Okay.
Monk fruit is actually also refined sweetener, although it's said to be a little bit more, what do you call it? A little bit much safer than sugar, the white sugar. Actually, when you see monk fruit sweetener, you cannot tell it apart from the white sugar. So unless it's labeled, you might actually be, if it's someplace where they can adulterate it, they can mix it with regular cane sugar, the white cane sugar, without you knowing. But monk fruit, if you find the real one, it's supposed to be good. I haven't done any research on it specifically, but I've used it a few times before.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Damien actually is out of the country, and I wonder what that plant is. Dr. Damien, research it and let's know. We may even find it here, but Dr. Bill says we should still be careful of glycemic index. So, Dr. Ajagbe, I'm going to go to Dr. Okpeyemi Adewale, and I want to say Mrs. Adewale is on the platform. She's in the UK as we speak, but she has also joined us tonight on Medical Mondays. So thank you for joining us and welcome. And we'll hear all about the UK from you in a bit. So Dr. Okpeyemi, kindly unmute. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ma. Thank you, Prof, for the well-enlightened presentation. I just want to add, with respect to this oral microbiome presentation, there is an ongoing, I heard somebody mention the issue of a glycemic index, but I want to point out the association now with pancreatic cancer. And one of the major things that the oral microbiome does is the fact that it changes, especially with diet, some of these sugar diet, as Prof rightly mentioned, it changes the normal architecture of the bacterial environments. A particular notorious bacteria that is is now more prevalent. They found it to be more in the Africans or African Americans is what is called P. gingivalis. P. gingiviromonas gingivalis. This particular bacteria is being found out to be responsible for some of the association with all other systemic diseases. So this is very important, and like what Prof has just told us, is a means of addressing issues from the background, looking at what are the things that can redirect or rechannel the oral microbiome to the normal one by taking some of all these the probiotics and all other the lozenges as he has mentioned. I just want to point it out. Pancreatic cancer now is affecting some Africa, and the treatment options are not that wide compared to all other cancers of the body. I thank you very much for the opportunity to share. Thank you, Prof.
You're very welcome, Dr. Okpeyemi Adewale. For those who don't, hello. Dr. O, you are muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying thank you, Dr. Opeyemi, all the way from Nigeria. Past, almost, I think it's 1 o'clock or something there. He's also a dentist, and we appreciate that very much. Thank you for mentioning, the connection of oral health to cancers, pancreatic cancer. Pancreatic cancer, yes, we don't have many options of treatment, and no good way to even diagnose until it's become a problem, unless it is found incidentally in lucky folks. So this is a very, very important subject tonight, that we need to take care of that oral health and introduce the probiotics that we're being educated on tonight. Dr. Ajagbe, the floor is yours.
Yes, I was just going to say thank you, Dr. Adewale, for your comments. Porphyromonas gingivalis is a very virulent pathogen that is very, very dangerous. It's dangerous in the mouth, and it's dangerous almost every other part of the body. So, and that is one of the ones that the Streptococcus salivarius is attacking, the K12. So it seems to be in the right direction. If patients are, I think the best thing is, in America, there has to be a shift in the understanding of how to manage systemic diseases. And when they I think when there is regular checkup, there are certain things that should be also monitored, even by the primary care physician, which they would then make the primary care physician to refer the patient to their dentist. And if they don't have any dentist, for them to look for a dentist who can then help them control some things. It's just like for this Porphyromonas gingivalis, if the assay is done, because I'm sure there is antibodies that can be discovered even in the blood workup against the P. gingivalis. If that is done, I'm kind of just suggesting. I see you shaking your head, but it's all right.
I'm shaking my head because if you be specific in what you want us to look for when we do this, physical exams will be great, because there is no antibody that I know of to check.
No, that's what I'm saying to you.
It's not a routine test.
I know. That's why I'm saying I'm recommending that now, verbally, on this
forum. To who? We cannot generate.
No, to the practitioners who are on the forum. But the point is this, that if a primary care physician discovers that a patient has pretty high titer of antibodies against P. gingivalis, they can suggest to that patient, as part of their care, that they need to see their dentist because they have this antibody titer that is pretty high, which suggests that it could be connected to some of the conditions that they are experiencing in their systemic evaluation. So that's just, just putting it out there.
So, Dr. Ajagbe,
P. gingivalis is very, very dangerous. So that's what
Dr. Ajagbe, have you ever done this titer before? Because I have never done it. I've never heard of it. I was not trained on this in medical school. So I didn't have
these are new discoveries. The connection with other major systemic conditions is new. No, I have not done it, but I believe there will be, because any microorganism that is virulent, the body responds to by forming antibodies against. And I know
Dr.
that
Ajagbe, I understand. I understand, sir. This is what I'm saying. There's no testing for this yet. So I don't want to have our audience roused up, going to their primary care doctor to say, hey, I want antibodies done to check when there is none yet.
There is no, the technology is available to test any antibody.
I get
that
it.
needs
It
to
is
be-
not
So,
available yet, sir. So I don't want to misdirect our audience. That technology it's there. We can test any antibodies. And you've been in healthcare, you also know that we have to have reasons why we test for something. But the technology has not been used to test this yet. So please don't go to your primary care doctors to ask for this. Let's learn about the probiotics to prevent for now till technology gets there, catches up with the knowledge we have. So that being said, baby steps. Thank you for the comments in the platform. We are taking baby steps for now. Thank you. So Dr. Damien Dublin, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Good evening, all. Thank you for the presentation. I am also a dentist by profession, graduated in 1987 in Cuba. This topic, when I saw the topic, I said, yes, finally a topic right up my field. A lot of what the prof say is true. We spend a lot of money on unnecessary things, mouthwashes and this, trying to solve problems. We should focus on the basic, the peroxide and the baking soda, so cheap. And this can solve so many problems of bad breath, keeping the mouth fresh, keeping the gum healthy. So I want to focus on the natural things that we do. When I grew up, we were using charcoal, pound the charcoal, mix a little salt and brush your teeth. There was a particular plant, I think it was the peas tree, pigeon peas, we'd use the sticks, pound the end, use it as toothbrush. So children growing up, eating a lot of cane. The cane, after we finish the cane, we use the peel to brush our teeth. So we grew up naturally and we were healthy, we had strong teeth. It's only when the introduction of processed sugars, the price of development, I would say. So it is mentioned already that sugar is so dangerous, the sugar that we put in our tea, in the juices, it come in all forms. But the natural sugars from fruits, these take a longer time to be broken down by the bacteria. So we more recommend the natural sugars. The plant I mentioned, I'll have to do some research. I know it, I've used it, and it really, when you chew on it, it just leaves a sweet taste in your mouth. But I must find out the name, and probably next Monday I could talk about it. But just a question, the question of the prodentin, remember in the mouth, the oral cavity, and let me just agree that general physicians should consider dentists as part of the primary healthcare team and refer, because if your oral hygiene is bad, your gums are bleeding, your mouth not level, it certainly could affect other parts of the body, because we know people who have other systemic diseases like heart diseases. And so when they come to us, we make sure that they are covered with their prophylactic medication before we do any deep scaling or the procedure. So there's a connection, and I think general physicians don't pay much attention to the oral cavity. The oral cavity is like the entrance to your body. That's what you put in. The saliva in your mouth is so important in terms of the enzymes used to break down carbohydrates and so on. So just want to make that connection. Just a quick question in terms of the prodentin. I mean, in the mouth, there's the normal oral bacteria that live together. But sometimes when you overuse certain things, you can cause, for example, overuse of antibiotics, you can disrupt the balance. I'm just wondering in the research if prodentin has any of that particular effect. But let me thank you for the presentation. Really enjoyed it and very positive.
Thank you, Dr. Dublin. Thank you for the comments that you made. Very important. Prodentin is not antibiotics. It's not medication. These are attenuated, I believe. Well, I think they claim to be live, microorganisms to replace the very good microorganisms in the mouth just by chewing or sucking on the tablet. Like I said, I have not used it, so I wouldn't be able to give firsthand, uh, opinion on what it does. But it is not a kind of medication that will shift the balance in the negative direction. No, this is supposed to correct the imbalance already. So I hope that helps in clarifying that. The probiotic is not medication; it's microorganism. It's it's the healthy microorganism that can actually repopulate the mouth to improve the oral condition.
Thank you so much. And thank you again, Dr. Dublin. Thank you for that admonition. I think the primary care doctors are catching up on the importance of oral health. I think we caught on quickly with pregnancy. We refer our pregnant patients really quickly to dentists. And now we are catching up to refer to dentists to check oral health. It's very important. You're right. And thanks again for taking us back to the basics. Hydrogen peroxide and baking soda. Dr. Ajagbe gave us comprehensive education on how to use those, and that's what he uses. He told us instead of toothpaste, even, to use that is better for oral health. You can always go back to that segment of Medical Mondays with Dr. O on YouTube and to watch that episode again. Yeah, very, very educative, very deep. Thank you. And kindly unmute Dr. Bill and ask your question.
Dr. Dublin and also the other physician earlier, how important is the level of hydration that is critical? And aligned with that, we have so many different kinds of waters now that they are throwing out us, heavy water, alkaline water, mineralized water. Should we just focus on spring and increase our level of hydration, given the environment that's going on, given what's going on in terms of happening all around us, in your country, in our country, in other countries on this world? That's it.
Dr. O, let me just, thanks for that question. Hydration is so important because, as was mentioned earlier, with dry mouth, you could have other problems. It could result in other problems because the importance of the saliva also. I want to add there also that it's important sometimes with people with xerostomia or dry mouth, we encourage chewing of some gum, but sugar-free gum is a special one called with xylitol in it, which has no impact, but basically just stimulates the saliva production and keeps your mouth. I fully agree with you. With all the waters around, it's difficult to decide. I think we had a good discussion the other day, Dr. on waters and which one was best. I think that one was very instructive. Well, in Dominica, we are fortunate because of only child and we have a lot of access to spring water, natural water flowing through the mountains, all polluted. So we have access to that. We also have a lot of imported bottled water, some alkaline, some say about the powers of it. But hydration is key in whatever form once the water is clean or purified enough to not cause any harm, but it's very important.
Thank you.
May I add that while we never really had to in the past, now we need to read the labels on bottles of water to see what's in it. Because one of the items, which I think I brought forward earlier, was MgSO4. Why are they putting Epsom salts in our water? Period.
MgSO4, magnesium sulfate?
That's correct. That's Epsom
In water?
salt. In water.
Oh, wow.
That's now purified. Anytime it says purified, it has it.
Okay. I don't touch purified water, so I don't think anybody should be drinking purified water. But hey, wow. Okay, I'm going to pay attention to that. That's important. I never read labels of water. Always learn something.
Okay.
Dr. Ajagbe?
Yes. About hydration, that cannot be overemphasized. Without, sufficient hydration, the mouth will dry up. The lips will chap, and the lips will crack, and there will be ulceration of the lip, and that in itself, it's going to make it difficult to use the mouth properly. So I don't. I know the focus of hydration should be that whatever water you are drinking is clean. That is, doesn't have any infective agents, because if it's contaminated with bacteria, not only can it affect the oral environment, it will definitely affect the GI tract. I don't know if you've seen the CNN video, of the interview of the lady from somewhere in East Africa that's talking about that their water is tea, and the woman couldn't speak a lot of English. But the information is very clear. If the water is not clean and it has a lot of high coliform counts, that will create its own problem. But if directly talking about the alkalinity of the water that is being sold and the different kinds of water variants, we have to be very cautious. I mean, I don't drink any bottled water personally. That's a choice, because I noticed that most of the bottled water do have storage period in warehouses, and most of the warehouses do not have temperature control. And if they don't have temperature control with high heat, particularly during the summer, and will cause the leaching of the phthalate in the water from the bottle. Over a period of time, with increased phthalate in water, you increase the potential for carcinogenicity. So I will usually just defer to using my Brita filter, pitcher. You can change that filter once every 2 months or once every 3 months, and you are taking out almost everything. At least 99.9 impurities in your water will be filtered out. When I travel, I take my filter with me. I don't worry about anybody's bottled water, because the storage is an issue. You cannot even get all the calcium out of the purified water. So if you ask me what should you do, I will tell you to do what I am doing, and that is just filter your own water. I'll filter the tap water, because they've already tried to filter it, that they do not get all of these things out of the water. And I will filter that at my own pace, and know that the water I'm drinking is free from all of those potential harm.
What about in Nigeria? It's well water, all over. Everybody's pumping their own well water. I've not seen water supply from the country, from the state, from any state, since I was a child, when we were children, and as teenagers, we had running water in the tap. I didn't even think people had their own personal wells generating their own waters, but that's what happens now. So when you go, do you just filter your water, the well water, in your Brita? Okay.
Whatever it is coming from the tap, which is usually through the borehole. The borehole water goes into the receptacle that is a reservoir that collects the water over a period of time, and you draw from the reservoir. Two things. Most of the reservoirs are never clean. Nobody goes up there to go clean them because it's not part of the equation when they were being installed. So you are doing everything at your own risk. If all you do is just drink straight from whatever comes out of the water, of the tap, because you think it's well water. Now, if it's coming directly from the ground and there's a filter in the line, yes, I would drink straight from that. But if there is no filter and there is a reservoir that is holding the water, yeah, you got a whole lot of factors there that can cause.
No, I guess my question is: do you when you go to Nigeria, do you filter that well water?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
thank you.
I do.
That was what I was asking.
I have a Brita in Nigeria that I normally use.
Okay, so Haman in London said, in his experience, England oral health is not looked upon as a serious connection with all-round primary health, and is, directing this to Dr. Dublin. Furthermore, there are real issues with people finding a national health dentist. This support is more likely if they can afford it, if people can afford it. So it's appreciating your contribution, but the problem in England is actually different from us here, because I think a lot of primary care physicians here actually appreciate the connection between dental health and general health, that they've been calling systemic health issues tonight. So we're doing better. I hope that we know who we can talk to in England to change the culture there. So he was asking also, Dr. Ajagbe, that is and Hammer baking soda toothpaste recommended by any of the doctors here today, any of the dentists?
Well, personally, if you can mix your own slurry of baking soda with water, what do you need toothpaste for? You don't need toothpaste. You can use, the way I do it, I've been doing it for the past 15 years. I will take my wet toothbrush, I'll pick fresh baking soda, it will dampen it, it will be stuck to my toothbrush, I'll use it. First of all, it's abrasive, but not abrasive for long. It's not like you're using sand, because your saliva will dissolve the baking soda over time. So the abrasive nature of the baking soda will remove the plaque. Few seconds that you've started using it, all the plaque on your teeth will be removed if you use it properly. And so the baking soda dissolves in your saliva. It reduces the acidity in your mouth immediately by neutralizing the acid. So I don't know, I'm not taking time to go look at baking Arm & Hammer toothpaste that has baking soda in it. You should understand is marketing. They want to capture a piece of the market by introducing baking soda. They know the benefit of baking soda. And so they're introducing it so that if you are thinking, oh yeah, baking soda is good, well, let me buy baking soda toothpaste as opposed to the one that doesn't have baking soda. So they still get a piece of the market. But as far as I'm concerned, you don't need any sweetener in your toothpaste. But most of the toothpaste will add sweetener to it because they know children will like something sweet. So they must add sweetener to it. So I don't want to be going around in circles about that. I will not spend my money to buy any more toothpaste, for any reason, because I can make my own toothpaste.
So thank you, sir. Janine Dublin McIntyre says, do you or don't you recommend fluoride toothpaste? either?
Well, personally, like I said, I would say that if you're brushing your teeth properly with baking soda and hydrogen peroxide, you would not need anything. Because what you are controlling is you are controlling at the root cause. The root cause of any of this problem in the mouth is bacteria, the pathogenic bacteria, the dangerous bacteria, like Porphyromonas gingivalis. That is a very dangerous one. Strep mutans, very dangerous for the mouth. What you have to understand is if you have the fluoride already as part of your tooth structure, which means when your teeth were forming, you are drinking water or eating food that contains, fluoride, and that is incorporated in your tooth structure. Yes, it's to your advantage. When you have fluoroapatite, which is the hard tissue that forms in the teeth, if it contains fluoride as part of it, definitely your tooth structure will be resistant to most of the acid the bacteria is releasing from digesting or fermenting sugar in the mouth. If you are from East Africa, for instance, most of the waters in East Africa has very high fluoride content. It's way higher than 100 parts per million that is recommended to, kind of just help to prevent caries. So many of them will have discolored teeth that we call fluorosis. If you see a lot of people from East Africa, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Ethiopia, a lot of them do have discolored teeth, and that is from the high fluoride content. Now, if you have children, if you are raising children and you give them, supplements, that have fluoride in it, if it's incorporated in their teeth while the teeth were forming, it's going to protect their teeth from future decay. It doesn't mean that they will still not have cavity. They may not have as frequently as other people that don't have fluoride in their teeth. Now, so I think, using.
So basically, you said we should use the baking soda and fluoride. And thank you for explaining to us again how to use it. To dip a toothbrush in the baking soda and the hydrogen peroxide. Yes. Where should we drink a little bit of the hydrogen peroxide?
Not drink, or you switch with it. You
switch with it
and spit out.
And then brush with the.
Yes, you can use it to brush. What I normally would do is I'll use the baking soda on the wet toothbrush because it's still very abrasive. And I will use that for a few seconds because you don't really need too much of effort if you brush every day. And more so if you brush twice a day, you don't really need too much force to clean your teeth because it's just a day's worth of plaque that is formed. So why do you need so much force? You just clean it out efficiently and rinse with the hydrogen peroxide. The hydrogen peroxide forms in your mouth, will remove everything that needs to come out from between your teeth. If you have sufficient space between your teeth, it would clean that for you after you have already flossed and brushed. And then you can rinse it, finally with clean water so that your mouth will remain fresh. Even when even after that, if you ate, carbohydrates, your mouth will not be as fermented as if you never used baking soda, hydrogen peroxide to brush.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Bill, you have your hand raised, and then Sister Rosemary, you'll go next. Dr. Bill, kindly unmute.
In
Thank you.
terms of the question of fluoride, that's a very critical question, and I believe it has been pushed here in the States. Not so much. Yes, it is tied to proper health, proper dental health, but I think it's more of a commercial thing that they've been pushing forward. Fluoride is very toxic to the body, period. We don't need to even talk about that at this point. My question or my concern is that you've mentioned children who have been born with, I'll say raised ideally, who have that level of protection built in. How many of us in the last 50 years have been raised like that? I haven't been raised like that at this point. So I believe the fluoride has come into use primarily because of the use of various food items and food content, which has impacted our dentin to a negative point. So then they say, well, now we could add fluoride to that, so that food that we're eating, which is putting us down, will not have that much of an effect. So no, I agree with you in terms of not bringing it forward. I wasn't aware in terms of the problem in South Africa in terms of the teeth reflecting that. A question I might ask you, you're there. What happens when someone is overdosed with fluoride? How does it impact the liver? Do we see issues with liver disease and or problems there? Anyway, that's my statement on fluoride. I don't trust the way it's being used. I know in some cases it is valuable, but in some cases I think it's just an excessive way of making more money. Period.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I think I'm going back to Ms. Janine Dublin. I think we got a question answered there, because I actually used that fluoride baking soda toothpaste for a long time, the combination from Colgate. So thank you so much, Dr. Bill. Sister Rosemary.
Thank you,
Dr.
Dr.
Thank you.
Ajagbe. Thank you for a great presentation. A couple of questions. How about do they have a cure for periodontal disease?
Sure.
There is a cure? What is it?
Well, the cure is, you call it, I can't really call it a cure, because unless you maintain the healthy habit,
that's the cure.
Every one of us has a micro infection. And the reason I say that is this: there is no one who has no porphyromonas gingivalis in their mouth. We all do, and it's in our GI tract. So because we have that, and occasionally we sleep, we don't do everything the way we want to do it. So even if you treated the gum disease, this can reinfect. And the benefit of the probiotics is to keep the population of the dangerous bacteria down. Everything still, works together. If your body system is working well, you have good immune system, you don't have any compromise in your systemic health, your mouth should stay healthy. Even if you have a micro infection of your gums, your body should attack that and restore it to normal. So the contest or the fight continues on a minute-by-minute basis. The assault is not stopping. And so the body constantly fights to keep our body healthy. And that's why the white cells are there. The white cells are constantly fighting off bacteria in every part of our body, every part. So there's really no permanent cure for gum disease. If you have it, you have to keep it under control. I think that's the best you can do.
So what do you do to keep it under control?
Good oral hygiene, and if you have real bad gum disease, antibiotics may help, but you don't want to use antibiotics for too long because that further moves the bacteria in the wrong direction. And then fungal growth can then come again into that picture. So you don't want that for an extended period of time. Probiotics is still going to be where you're going to go to because that's supposed to be biological, and also it's you don't want to call it natural from the standpoint of your body, but because you are still introducing it into your body. But if it's good, if it gets into your body, it actually helps to repopulate the mouth with the good guys or the good bacteria.
Thank you. Dr. B, you said there's a cure for periodontal. Did you say that?
Well, I was saying that as Dr. Ajagbe just said, it is good oral care. That's the cure. If you follow that, you can then reduce the periodontal problem that you have. If you don't follow good oral care, meaning staying away from acidic, highly acidic foods, watching the sugars that you're consuming, rinsing, drinking, all these things involve good oral care. That's the cure. No, there's no pill that we can take or anything that we can swallow. It is a process, a daily, everyday process. That's the cure. I'm sorry I misled you in terms of something that you could pick up and buy and cure that.
Thank you. Dr. Ajagbe, and then can say something to this. I know someone in Nigeria that they have a tooth problem in the family, and they all used urine, and for the past 20 years, that thing has not come back. So there's actually a cure in the African way. So I don't know about that. Speak to that. So.
Well, I mean, there are so many esoteric, home remedies that people use. Yes, if it works for those particular individuals, yes, kudos to them. But would I recommend somebody to go and use urine? Well, I would not. Personally, because I've not done it. I don't have any need to do it. And I don't think I want to do a clinical research proposing that people will be using their urine to try to treat gum disease if there is any other alternative. Now, let's say there are no other remedies, no other alternative. That is, you use baking soda to clean your mouth, you do the right things, you eat well, you're hydrated. Let's even say you even use probiotics and nothing seems to be working. Okay, fine. If urine will do the job, oh yes, oh, we will do it. We'll ask you to try that. I mean, but I'm not going to make my own pee and start selling it to people, to clean their teeth, So if anybody wants to experiment that, oh yeah, why not? It's part of experience, human experience. If you tested it and it works for you, well, it's your experience. You can share it with other people and say, yes, it did work for me. So
Haman says, shall we drink to that?
Yeah, well, I think it's very, it's interesting, but at the same time, it's not something that almost everybody can embrace, right? We can even in this, kind of digress a little bit and say people were using cow urine, so to say, many years ago, that they said it cures epilepsy. I don't know how that could have worked, but yeah, they gave it to people that had epilepsy, and they believe that it worked. And some people died, and some people lived. So I don't know. And that was not formal clinical research, so I wouldn't be able to say it as supported with any kind of clinical data.
Thank you, Dr. Ajagbe. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So basically, Dr. Ajagbe has told us that we should maintain that good oral health, use baking soda and hydrogen peroxide, preferably twice a day, in the morning and before we go to bed. And then the probiotics, because I don't want us to forget that, which is, a major part of this presentation, that those probiotics actually, in my head, they do some rebuilding.
Actually, you are right. That's the claim that the manufacturers are making, that it actually causes rejuvenation of the oral environment. Now, because I haven't seen, clinical, data to support any of those specifically, all I can say is that theoretically, yes, it does make sense. And if there is no clinical evidence to prove that it actually works, well, it will fall by the wayside over time. But I believe that the same way we think about colon cleansing using the probiotics and the prebiotics, and we're getting, we're experiencing relief. Many people are having, actually kind of reversal of the kind of GI problems they've been having in the past, just by introducing probiotics and kombucha and fermented, foods into their regimen, which is a form of lifestyle modification, lifestyle changes that actually is long lasting. So I would say that we should stick with what we know for now. Let's stick with what we know, something simple, straightforward, natural, and healthy. I mean, if that helps, I think we should embrace that. But if there is no help in that direction, yeah, any other suggestion should be explored. Many of these things still require a lot of research in order for it to become mainstream.
Thank you so much. So there has been lots of comments on the platform thanking you for another fabulous presentation. We appreciate you very much. Medical Dr. Attorney Richard Williams said, great presentation. Thank you, Dr. Ajagbe. And he gave you those, clapping, thumbs up, and we all appreciate you. Thank you again, sir. So if you
all the way from California.
see, that's Lara, our CEO, all the way from California. She was
Thank
listening.
you very much. Yeah.
Yes, she was listening. Dr. V is on, a lot of people are on, and we are all appreciative. So if you give us your parting words, which I think you have summarized it already, but I'll put you on the spot again, is what I do best. So if you give us your parting words, we'll appreciate it, and we'll abide because we want to stay healthy.
Well, thank you for the opportunity and your attention and the interactive exchanges. I can say of a fact that God has given us everything that we need for life and godliness, according to the power that works in us. We are surrounded by abundance of resources. And our oral health, we cannot say we are suffering because there is lack of anything. Everything that we need is available. It's just to become aware of them. And we, just by being on this forum, is helpful enough to bring awareness to a whole lot of things that we do have that don't have to cost us a lot of money and that will improve our health and maintain our health long term. And I think we all owe it to ourselves individually to get information, not just know it in our heads, but use it and spread the awareness. Tell other people, this you can do if they have any concerns, and if you can't help them, you can refer them to people who can be of help to them. And I'll be glad to, interact with anyone who has special, needs in that area and further elucidate in, what can be done from the dental standpoint. I've shared before that the mouth is the gateway to the body. We can't dodge that. Whether it is for nutrition, whether it is for expression of emotion, whether it is for communication, even for breathing, respiration. Without the mouth, if the nose is blocked, that individual will be dead. So we just know that we need to bear it in our consciousness that keeping our mouth healthy is the best decision that we'll make for our own existence. Making our mouth healthy and being able to do what it needs to keep it going, I think it's our duty, and we should do that on a very meticulous, in a very meticulous way. So at this point, I just want to say thank you again for your interaction, and thank you for the compliments and comments. And I hope to see you again sometime with some other interesting topic.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ajagbe, for always, being there for us and for your intellect. It's just priceless. We appreciate you. Folusha said, billion thanks, Dr. Ajagbe. Haman said, thank you, Dr. Ajagbe, another winner. And bless all who contributed. My Bon, Radataye Doherty in California said, great job, Dr. Ajagbe, as always. And Dr. Damian Dublin said, very participatory and informative session. That's the way you would like it, right?
Yeah, it's good.
Benjamin Olorunfemi said, thank you very much, sir, Dr. Ajagbe. Brother Taye Duarte from Calif again said, you look good too, Dr. Ajagbe. And
thank you.
Aman said, by royal appointment, Dr. Ajagbe. Dr. and Dr. Ajay said, good presentation. And I must say, the closing remarks sound like a great sermon. We will abide with the information given. So, iPhone, I think that's, that may be a CEO.
I'll say amen to that.
Amen. You said amen to that. So who is this, please?
Ademola Okusoya.
Oh, sir. How are you, sir?
Blessed and highly favored.
We have to find you. We have to find that voice. You cannot forget that voice.
No. I was reading, so I didn't catch the voice. I just know that somebody's.
I will pay for your fine.
Thank you, ma. Thank you. I appreciate you, ma. So it said, thank you, Dr. O and Dr. Ajagbe, for another relevant and impactful session. And it's our son, I believe, Benjamin Olorunfemi said, thank you, sir, again. Jenny McIntyre said, thanks, very informative. Attorney Tinu Akishola said, always a great session. Just that's Dr. Izugu said, par excellence. Dr. Ajagbe.
Thank you.
And that's Dr. Fawale on the iPhone, who was appreciating you. Dr. T. Akintonde said, thanks for another informative session. That's Dr. Daniel. And Dr. Bill said, excellent, Dr. A.
Thank you all.
The Ajays are clapping. Dr. Damien Dublin is greeting everybody. And wait a minute, Dr. Joseph Aditola, Pastor Joseph Aditola said, great presentation, thank you. And Hammond from England said again, have a positive and productive week to everyone. So I saw that Sister Rosemary raised her hand.
Yes, I have a new name for Dr. Ajagbe. It's Dr. Wise. He's full of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. He can talk on any